Here we go. Fresh ingredients. We're going to can some salsa today. I am a noob at canning, so we'll see how it goes. My mom always canned fresh tomatoes, but I was little and although I helped, I never really did it on my own. So here we go. There's our peppers out of the garden. Onions are bought, unfortunately. And we got some tomatoes out of the garden. And I'm going to roast them up. I'm going to roast them up, and I have my oven at 400, and the pans, once again, here are ready. So we'll get those roasted and see how it goes. I also have I have my lids in here to clean up with soapy water. I'm going to rinse them and put them on the rack to dry. Station number 3, my pot is on to boil, and I don't have one of those inserts for the inside. So what I did was put a towel. So when I put my jars in there, they'll be on the towel and hopefully not break. And I got my jars here. When the water comes to a boil, we're going to stick them in and sanitize them. And so let's get started. Okay, here's our first tray of tomatoes ready to get roasted in the oven. It is a combination of smaller beefsteak tomatoes. My beefsteaks did not get very huge. So it is beefsteaks quartered and then a larger cherry tomato. My cherry tomatoes are bigger than cherries, and my beefsteaks are smaller. So, but this is what I got, so this is what we're using. I did seed some of the beefsteaks, not all of them. Some of them didn't have very many seeds, so I didn't figure it would hurt. And my cherry tomatoes, I didn't. I just halved them. We'll see how it goes. And here's tray 2 ready for the oven. Some of my bell peppers, I just quartered them. I had to pick that purple one and do it. Look at the inside of that. Odd. We got some of the banana peppers and some onion there. So they'll be going in the oven to roast right now. Okay, here's my roasted tomatoes, fresh out of the oven. I'm gonna pull the skins off of them. They'll pull right off. Okay, so here's what I've been doing for the most part. I just pulled off the skins off of these, and you see the meat is left. There's some juice laying on the tray, which I'll dump out, and then I have my tomato meats in there, and there's my skins. There's the roasted peppers and onion, and I have a second tray of tomatoes in there, and I have a couple more tomatoes which I'll probably roast up too, I think. And then, so one of the recipes had you boiling it down on the stove, or reducing it a little bit. So I have my tomatoes in there. I did run some of them through the NutriBullet. Everything's a mess, because that's what I have. I don't have a food processor or anything like that, so that's what I'm going to do with the onions and peppers. But the tomatoes, I ran some of them through, and then it seemed like it was just puree in it, so I left some of them as is. Okay, so I did some peppers and onions in the NutriBullet, and all it did was puree them. So I think I'm going to take what I have and just dice them up small. Okay, here's where we're at. This is the second tray of tomatoes roasted out of the oven. You can see the skins will pull right off of them, and I'm just going to throw the meats of the tomatoes into my mixture, which I will show you right here. So I ended up cutting up the peppers and onions myself because my NutriBullet was just making mush out of them, and I didn't want mushy salsa. I wanted chunky salsa. So I also decided to cut up some of the fresh tomatoes in there too. So this is what we're looking like. I also threw in some salt, pepper, a couple chopped jalapenos, and since one of the recipes I read, it's not salsa without cumin, I also threw some cumin in there, and we got a hot mess of experimental I don't know what. But at any rate, once I get all the tomatoes in there and let it cook a little more, I'm going to take some out and try it on a cracker to see if I like the flavor, if it needs any more seasonings, and then we're going to roll with it. Okay, here's my hot mess salsa. Yeah, didn't take me long to destroy my kitchen, and we might have some salsa here, we might not. We'll find out how it goes. I'm trying. And I'm trying to keep tabs so that next year I know what I want to do and what I don't want to do. It's all experimental at this point. So this is the rest of my tomatoes in here. I'm going to take some of this out and put it on a cracker and see if the seasoning's good. Before I do that, I'm going to add some vinegar because that's what most of the recipes also said to add. Now, mind you, I'm not measuring any of the ingredients I'm putting in because it's hot mess salsa. It's whatever I feel like. Okay, so here's where we're at. I let some of the salsa cool and I tasted it with crackers, which is all I have. I don't have tortillas, so it's hard to know if I have the flavor right. But it tastes pretty good, so I'll give it a try. Ended up throwing in some fresh onion and fresh pepper, not being roasted, just because I wanted the chunks. So let me show you that. Here we go. This is the salsa. I'm gonna turn it off now. I am waiting for my jars to be done. I have them in the big pot of boiling water here to sterilize them. Update, the jars are out of the water bath. I had a heck of a time. I think it would be easier if I had the right pot for the job. This pot is very deep. So note to self for next year. Okay, jars are filled. I'm going to wipe the rims with vinegar. Still plenty of salsa left, but I do still have 4 more jars I can fill, which I probably will, and the rest will have as fresh salsa. So here's the update. I have 7 jars in that pot now, and they have 6 more minutes to go, and we'll pull them out. There's the first batch. I have my second batch of jars getting sterilized now in the boiling water, and this is the first 7. I was hearing them pop as I was pulling them out of the water, so I have high hopes that I did it right. So I have the last of the jars in the water bath, and this is what I had left over. So for the hot mess that everything was, I couldn't have planned it better. A little bit of fresh salsa in the fridge. Probably have tacos and polish that off.